Hi, this is Phil with Idigbest, and I'm going to show you the new system. This is 2017 in July, and I'm going to kind of take you through all the programming and everything we got. So once you turn your system on, it's pretty simple here. Hit the menu button when you're first and go to length and change it to feet, unless you're that's feet inches, that's feet, that's tenths, and then metric. You can figure out whatever system you're using. Also come down to the make sure your LEDs are on, make sure your center of bucket with the point of measurement. These are just good things to do. X is off, this is on, this is normal settings. Now this is our new stop boom coming out, so most of this will be right, but it'll probably have some updates by the time you get all this, but that's the way our life is. This is the deadband for the stop dig. This is the delay to kick the stop dig on. It's just little functions we put in. And this is, you can turn the stop dig on for vertical or horizontal or both. Anyways, home button, menu button, zero button, 2 arrows and a 0. This is our mouse, it's the enter button. And there's our F buttons, and we call this a green button. We'll talk about it later. So I'm going to home back. I've got it. I'm going to hold down the menu button for 5 seconds. It's going to take it to what we call the back side. We're going to get ready for setup, so we hit enter, and we're going to go first to parameters, and we're going to check everything's good on this page, but you want to be 3 and 120, those two numbers. Set those, it'll make it easier for you to do the laser if they're different. Sometimes they're different when you get it. Home back one time, and we're going to go to the Idigbest page real quick and go in, and alarms are off, passwords off, blink. You can go from 3, 4, or 5. It does the intensity of the blinking, brighter, dimmer. This counts how many times you use it. This is deadband for tilting buckets. It doesn't mean anything right now. And this is if we're got tilt turned on, or if we're using the stop dig, whatever. There's stop dig right there. So we can change our different output settings. We can also set it for x-ray vision if you want to hook x-ray vision up. I'm going to home one time, which I shouldn't have done. Go back to Idigbest, and I'm going to right arrow. Right arrow gives me another page that comes over, and these are our settings for our auto steer, the grade assist. So this is your normal speed. These are 0 to 10,000. These are PWM outputs. It's something you adjust. This is a good size for a 160 size machine. Start here. Different machines are higher or lower. This is a deadband. The bucket won't move when it stops for 0.7 degrees. These you want to turn your auto prop on. That's the automation to turn the bucket on. This is your flip tool for control and your stop tool. Deadbands, this is your outputs for your tilts. Our tilt bucket is right there. It depends on what kind of PWM valve you have. Pulse width modulation again. Flow off. This is only for guys that are using the special big valve. They don't have pilot hydraulics. So make sure it's off. And then curl your bucket all the way and hit enter, and it'll give you that one. Then dump it all the way and hit dump on this one, and it'll give you this one. Now you won't do this till after you program, for the reason that it doesn't know where it is yet because we haven't programmed it. So I'm going to hit home. You'll come back to this page and adjust all this. You'll come home, go down here to calibration. This is a typical 2-boom excavator. Anyways, machine number 1, you go down. I get Cabelco 160. I can hit enter on that, and I can change it to whatever I want. When I'm done, I home. So there's the name of the machine. So you can put your machine in. And remember, you can pause this anytime you want. I'm going to talk fast because you can pause. Just touch the screen, it'll pause for you on YouTube. So our right arrow, we're doing excavator digging system. We can do grade alls too. And we're doing a 2-boom excavator. Europeans use a lot of 3 booms. And then we're going to do boom 1. Boom 1 sensor is on the left side. So if it's the cab left side, sensor's left side. So now we want to go down arrow. We want to go to the length. The length of boom between the 2 pins on the boom. In this case, it's 18 foot 9 inches and 55 hundredths, or a little over ½ inch. Put that in. You'll hit, once you get it in there, you'll hit the enter button. You get as close as you can. Hit your enter button. Then you can down arrow to your angle, Angle in this case is 0 because it's level straight across pin to pin. Once you get it, hit enter and it'll say OK. Next thing we're going to do is the dipper stick. Dipper stick, same thing. We got our sensor left side, we got our length. Our length is 11 foot 5 inches 10. We get that, then we go to angle. Now that we go to angle, we have it at -90. When it's at -90, we've put the plumb bob on. We get it straight, make sure it's 90, hit enter, and you'll say OK again. And now we've put that boom in. So now we're getting ready for calibrating buckets. Calibrating buckets, just right arrow over, it's going to say which bucket. We'll start with number 1, go down just like the machine, and you can name it. We'll call this a 42-inch bucket. Hit the home button when you're done. It'll take you back. You can change the tool to bucket to compactors, drills, jibs, whatever. Reverse bucket. Then you go to dog bone or bucket or no bucket. We'll do dog bone later. Normally you put it on your quick coupler, and that's the most accurate way. So you go through, and it's not a tilt bucket unless you got a tilt bucket. Straight bucket, right arrow, sensor left side in this case, and we're going to start on the length. Length is 511.75. Want to enter that in, go down to your vertical plumb, and your plumb is -90. Always -90 for straight up and down. Once you get it, you're going to hit the input button. You got your bucket plumb, says OK, and you're clear to go. So now we want to go down and set the width of the bucket. We'll call this a 4-foot bucket. I think it might have been a 42, but 4 foot's fine. And you want to put the actual width in there. Then we want to go to flat bucket. So we'll lay the bucket down flat as we can and hit enter, and it'll put in that offset. So once we get that, we're going to arrow over, and then there's calibration shape. That is for X-ray vision. That's another video. Arrow over again, we're going to do chassis. Chassis is really simple. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to pick which side the sensor is aiming. It's the way the sensor plug is aiming, which we'll aim this one right. Normally they're aiming left towards the cab. Then we're going to go to horizontal. Horizontal is really simple. It's from the center of the main boom pin back to the center of the rotation, the center of the machine. So you can see it's 8.5 inches. So we're going to input the 8.5 inches. That's the, if you look at a top view down, it'd be straight back. You can see on the side there, horizontally back is 8.5 inches. So the next thing we're going to work on once we get that, it's going to be our vertical. Vertical again is from the center of the pin down to the bottom of the chassis. So it is 2 foot 2.5, 0.5. The next thing we're going to do is enter in the side, which way the boom is to the side of center, left or right. This one's 1 inch, so we enter it in there. And now we're going to work on our calibration. We're going to straighten it in line with the tracks, set it 0, hit enter. When you do it, it'll beep OK, and then we'll rotate the machine 180 degrees, and we'll go down and highlight the 180 degrees. Again, hit enter. It'll say OK, and now it's taken the 2 points and calibrated the chassis sensors. Okay, so now we're going to work on the laser. So we've mounted on the left side boom 2, which is a dipper stick. You can put it on boom 1 if you want, but boom 2 normally is much easier to reach and grab the laser. So you want to first make sure you got on the left side. Then you go down and it says boom 1 right now. So we'll go highlight it and change it to boom 2. Then we'll go down and we're going to do the width, or horizontal, I'm sorry. Horizontal is from the closest pin to the cab to the left. It's facing this side. So you want to measure it. It's 5, 4, 10. Put that in. Vertical is from, if you pull a string line between the 2 pins, out. In this case, it's 6 inches. So you're going to put in 6 inches on the vertical. That's simple. And then the last thing is boom width. Where the laser's mounted, how wide the boom is, how thick it is. In this case, it's about 10 inches. So you just put in your 10 inches and you're ready to go from there. 996, close enough to 10. So you go back and you always, last thing for sure is you want to save. It's going to count from 0 to 100. Let's put it up there for you.
Enough.
And the next thing we'll talk about is the sensor on the dog bone. Now, if you put your sensor on your dog bone because you're changing buckets, go ahead and shortcut is hit the F4, it'll flash. Hit the menu button like changing buckets. We're going to just redo this bucket. We had it on bucket before, now we're going to change it to dog bone. Simple enough. We go in and we measure the 4 segments. Segment 1, 2, 3, and 4. We've got a mark for you. Enter each one of those in. Very simple. Once you enter those in, you're going to go down to your leveling of segments. A sensor on the left side in this case. You can see I got it aiming left towards cab. So you want to then go down to your segment number 1. And you'll see me highlight it here. There you go. And you can see I put the level on segment number 1. When it's dead level and you're good, 0, you hit enter. When you hit enter, it'll say okay, it took it, flashed it in. You're going to go down to segment 2. You're going to put your plumb bob on segment 2. When you get a plumb, you're going to change segment 2. You see the cursor, move over 3, go down to -90 because it's vertical. And once you do that, your level, your square, you hit your enter button and it'll say okay and beep, and you have now set the dog bone up. Dog bone will work for all your buckets. Then you can go and it'll ask you about your bucket. We've already put the bucket in on this one, the -90, offset, and our width of our bucket. And it's that simple. Again, we go down and we save. Do not forget to save. Always very important.
Save it.
Once you save it, you're good. Hit home, you're back. You should be able to test it. So here's a good way to test it. You can take your bucket and you can set it on the ground down there, find a spot, and kind of dump it like 90% of the way. Then hit the 0 button on the screen. Like that. That'll zero it out. Make sure that little thing's here. And then I can pick the bucket up and turn it, and if I get the exact same spot, which I've just screwed up a little bit, you'll see we start getting back to our 0 again. So anywhere I pick it up, I go and I'll see my calculation error, how much it's off. You even see the thickness of the bucket. So this bucket's off a 1/4 inch. It shows a 1/2 inch there. I might need to recalibrate this bucket a little bit, but I might not be touching the exact same spot either, guys. So, but when you do it, it should not roll out to anything but what it is. And I can tell you why it's doing it now, because we got the wrong bucket on. So I'm going to switch to the right bucket. So I just noticed that it was not good. Okay, enter. So now if I go down here and touch, 0 out my button, then I come up and touch again, dumping it, touch. So I'll be able to 0 out my button. I don't have this bucket calculated, so anyways. But you want it to be 0 every time you turn the bucket, whatever way you're going, as close to 0 as you can. That shows you that you did all your measurements right, because you're doing all your booms.